So what we can expect during the final days of a child's life is we can expect them to be sleeping more. They might be more lethargic, not opening their eyes as much. You may find that the child is not wanting to eat as much or drink their formula or milk as much. They may be having a fever. Sometimes a fever can occur during end of life, and again, that's something that a family looks at and says that's abnormal, but during end of life, having a high fever can be very normal. Secretions, they may have difficulty dealing with their secretions. Unfortunately, as our body starts to slow down, we have more secretions in our body, but our body can't clear those secretions. So we tend to hear more of like a gurgling sound of those secretions. It's not bothersome to the child, but it can be bothersome to the family. It can be very scary to kind of hear that. There are medications to be able to deal with all those symptoms. We might find that the respiration rate will go up higher. Sometimes we see periods of apnea where the child may stop breathing. Sometimes that apnea can last up to a minute long. You may have a family member that's sitting at the bedside and think that this is their last breath, but actually then they'll stop breathing again. And that sends a parent on a roller coaster of emotions. But we will find that during the last few hours before passing, you may see some modeling of the hands and feet and extremities. That's because as our body starts to shut down, we pool the blood to the organs, the internal organs that need it the most, so blood is not being moved around the body. So you may find that the hands, the feet, the nose, tip of the nose, the ears may turn a bluish, grayish color. That's called mottling, and that's only because the blood is being pooled into the organs that need it the most. During that time, we may also find that a family member may be struggling with feeding. Feeding is a tough issue during end of life because as our body naturally shuts down, it naturally wants to dry itself out. Our bodies are incredibly smart when it comes to what it needs to do. Just as our body knew when that baby needed to be born and it did everything it needed to do, our bodies know when it needs to shut down. As part of that shutting down process, the body tends to dry itself out. It does not need fluid and food as much as it did. And parents struggle with that. They feel as though they're starving their child. What I tell a parent is that if you were on a deserted island and had no food, and you were hungry, that's a very painful process for you. That starving, that thirst is very painful because it's unnatural. But for the body that's trying to shut down because it's dying, it's a very natural process. And actually that food and fluid is no longer needed. They're not using the energy as much. They're not feeling that starvation and thirst as you would think they would.